Well, hello. Greetings, everyone. This is Elvis, and welcome to Elvis Dice Universe. Um, let's get the obvious out of the way. Appreciate any subscriptions, likes, comments. Rebuilding the channel, so any help is appreciated. Um, but this is the next section, the next video of the overall solo RPG, and diving into the Oracle or Oracles. I you notice some of the some of those matrix quotes definitely are applicable from a philosophical perspective, and I find that quite interesting. So if you read some of those, kind of keep that in the back of your mind how asking the question is so relevant here, specifically with oracles. Um, and before I started playing solo RPG, I didn't really. I've never. I mean, I kind of heard about it, but I never really used it. It was always just group element being controlled by the GM and then players and so forth. But when I got into this, then I they were talking about oracles, and I'm like, what's I need more details. So I started doing my own research, and then came about um, several options. At first I thought I was going to use this, and then eventually it became something else. And I'm no expert. I'm learning, but I think I've kind of found a sweet spot for myself, and I just wanted to share what I came across, and hopefully anyone who's starting out or is looking to try something a little different, maybe this will work. And I'm also working on some improvements, but for now, I'm just trying to keep it simple and just use what I've come across. So, what are his oracles? And the people who know, I don't really need to go into details, but it's a fate system that you ask like a yes no question, and then there can actually be conditions, but or whatever, and things come about, and it helps when you're solo playing because remember, as a solo, you put the hat of the GM, the dungeon master, the player characters, um, the NPCs, the monsters. So there's a lot of things that can happen. And then sometimes there could be downtime, or what do I do next? Or maybe you just need something to help you take it to the next step. And the Oracle sometimes just ask a question, and it can drive you to the next. And I'll share a couple examples what happened to me, whether it was an action, um, and what triggered it, and you know because there's also keep in mind that you may know or be aware of certain things because again as a GM you got to read everything and kind of not everything but be aware of what's going on. um so you technically know, okay, yeah, there's a secret door there, but do do you want to just answer do you want to just go through the dungeon and open everything and be aware of everything? No, because then that's not fun. You want to have a little bit of sense of drama and unknownness, and that's where the oracle fate charts are kind of cool. And I've seen it, so I'll share a couple examples with that's come across on my side. But let's get into it. I don't want to go too long because I tend to ramble on. Apologize, but I'm learning here. I'm learning, so bear with me. Um, so the oracle is just it's an ask oracle, as I mentioned. When you want to seek to resolve questions, discover details in the world, determine how other characters respond, or trigger encounters and events. Pretty much plain and simple. And then you do a there's different ones. So I these ones here are pretty much rudimentary, very simple. You roll it could be anywhere from a D6 to D whatever, two D6s. This looks like a table to 100. And then whatever you roll is what it is. So, hey, 50-50 chance. Does the door have a trap? Yes or no? You roll. Likely, no, and pretty straightforward. So these are pretty much very, very, very rudimentary. But what I always thought about these ones is there's not enough to. I like to have that condition. Maybe something else happens because that adds a little layer of a twist to the scenario, and which I like. And so another this is probably the most popular one is the Mythic Game Master emulator. and the fate chart they've vetted everything out. It's a fantastic, very extensive, very robust system. Um, when I started, playing solo, I looked at this and then watched a couple people online and saw how they did it. One of the caveats, though, at least if you look at the fate chart, it's very extensive. There's a lot of numbers. Not that I'm intimidated by numbers. In fact, I really like it. But again, I'm just trying to apply it for the solo RPG that I'm playing, and not to be overwhelmed with too many charts and rolling and stuff like that. I want to just have something quick, just gives me a couple options, and then move forward. Because if you've noticed, this fate chart has, it's broken the odds of very quite a bit, and it adds this chaos rank or factor, which adds another layer of, depends on the situation where you're at. Maybe things are a little bit chaotic or not, and you gotta determine that. I rather just kind of keep that in. I would know the situation that, oh, okay, if I'm in a situation where it's busy and there's lots of monsters in the area, I already know, okay, it's a situation that's tense versus, hey, I'm in a tavern with a bunch of friendly NPCs. Okay, I know it's very, very, very laid back. So I know how things are that. And that's how I kind of approach it. So I mean, Mythic's great. People, if you're using it, fantastic. Continue. Don't this is all about how I'm approaching it. But the one I found that was kind of more of a sweet spot for me is the Scarlet Heroes emulator. And Scarlet Heroes is another system that does for a lot of solo RPG, and they have a whole section on it. And just again for the purpose of this call, I'm just going to focus on kind of the Oracle yes nos. I'm not going to go into the NPC side because that's a lot more extensive, and I'll do another video on that because that you add Oracle kind of adjectives and motivators, action, so forth. So there's a lot of adjectives to help you trigger to the next part. Because remember, NPCs, it's more, you're looking at emotions, body language, and so forth. Versus, hey, is there a trap? Is there a locked door? Is there a secret door? Is that bridge tight? Is it stuff like that? You want to ask those type of questions from here. So I'll focus on that. So with the Mythic generator, if you see it, it's very straightforward, very simple. I like it because it gives us, these likelihoods that you can just almost in your mind break it down. Okay, based off the scenario, a yes or no, and then with the condition. So, and then the condition gives you a complication, and that you can figure out. So, for example, I had a situation where um, there was an element of surprise that I asked the Oracle, would there be a surprise attacking this monster that's not facing us? And I rolled, and it was my rogue, and it rolled to a very likely, or actually, I'm apologies. Let me take it back. I rolled, and it said yes, but I rolled a 6, and it said a failure of a piece of gear for either the hero or the NPC. I determined who was surprised, and it turned out to be the rogue. So on that case, I didn't even roll initiative. I said, you know what, the rogue's going to go first. I apologize. The rogue's going to go second, and the monster's going to attack, make its move. But when the rogue goes, based off that condition or that complication, his crossbow jammed. I think it was his crossbow jammed, or the arrow exploded, and he got stuck, and he lost his turn. So that was kind of cool because then I was able to go on that, and that was all based off the roll. Otherwise, it would have just been a generic. Okay, you go first, you go second, and that's that. So this added a nice little layer of kind of an unknownness and a little twist, and and it changed things up a bit. And I think if I remember, I have to look at my notes, but if I remember in that fight, I was almost TPK'd, but we barely got out of it, and it was a close call. But it turned out to be pretty fun. So that's the myth. I'm sorry, not mythic. The Scarlet Heroes Oracle Fate chart. Now I found a because typically you would roll. Obviously, you roll your D20 and then your D6 if there's a complication. I found this site, which is kind of cool, that it does everything for you. So you just click on the randomize button, and then you go from there. Um, I really like this because then it kind of minimizes the actual rolls. If I'm in a quick little if I don't want if I'm not searching around clicking around, then I just roll either manually or I use this owlbear, and I have the dice roller here. Like, so for instance, take a look at this situation here where this I set up really quick. So imagine this is my party, and then the doors are locked. So I've already asked if the doors are locked, and say, let's assume that the oracle came back and gave me a yes. And then I asked the oracle, do I hear anything? And let's say, let's randomize it. And it's likely no. So it came up no. All right. So that means I don't hear anything. So now the orcs are in the other room. So what I decide to do, let's say he wants to just bash the door in, and because it's locked. It's just for the purpose of the example. I roll. Okay, he bashes the door. Now there's an orc there. Let's roll for a surprise. Great. No. And so forth. Let's assume I rolled yes. Okay, maybe I hear something, but let's keep it at the unknown level. But there's an error in the assumption of some NPC is making. I hear something, but let's just say maybe I hear, oh, okay, maybe there's a chandelier um, in the other room. And again, I'm making that based off of this assumption of what the fate chart came back with. You know, so it gives you that I like the simple conditions, because immediately you can, oh, okay, you can add it, you can trigger something. At least it does for me, and so forth. So let's just say it was a let's just say if there was a let's just do this one. Yes, but there was a failure of a piece of gear either for the hero or an NPC. So say the rogue goes in, he's fiddling around, and based off of this, say I rolled this, and he he fails or let's just say he unlocks it, but triggers something where then the orcs gain surprise, and then now he's the orc basically, what I would do then in this one based off of that, let's just say that the orc gains surprise, and he as soon as the thief passes through, he shoots an arrow at him, just for the purpose. So you see stuff like that, or say there wasn't surprise, and now okay, so it's a 50-50. Okay, so let's say I'm going to roll a d6 to determine who goes, and then let's say 1 to 3 is the it's 1 to 3 is let's say it's the characters, or at least say in this case the dwarf, and then 4 to 6 would be the orcs. And if I roll, okay, 2, done. I get my dwarf, he goes first. We roll initiative, or we get a little surprise bonus and stuff like that. My play initiative a little different, so that's why I keep that in mind. And when I get to how I play it, I'll let you know in a little bit more detail. But right now, I want to just focus on the oracle charts. And that's how I use it, at least for the action pieces. And this is kind of the cool part. I think it's so important to I don't even know how you would play D&D or solo 5e without an oracle system of sorts. But this is the one I use, and I'm going to keep this video short. I've been trying to, like I mentioned, I tend to ramble on, and I keep going. But I want to talk about next. Like I'm going to continue what I've done before I get into the actual campaign and actually show you, in real time how I play the game. But this is this is the oracles, and again, trust the oracle system. It's a process. I think it works well. And find something that works for you, and then you can go from there. But this is the one I use. All right, so let's end with that. And if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. I'm curious to find out if anyone's similar to this. So again, please subscribe, and we'll talk to you next. All right, dungeon close.